We are at reports and communications unless I'm forgetting something. If not, we will move on to Councilmember Cardoza. Don't let me forget to adjourn the closed session when we're done either.
Okay. We'll start off this meeting with, I start with meetings. Attended Yuba Center Transit Authority meeting, the Cedar Buttes Flood Control Agency meeting for Councilmember Espandola. Attended the Yuba Center Homeless Consortium meeting. We were introduced to our new Executive Director, Johnny Burke. He has been involved in the community for the last 3 to 4 years. He's very happy taking this position and this challenge, and he gave a presentation. I'm sure he'd be more than happy to come here and do a little presentation for the council also. And this takes a lot of strain off the, Chief Sachs. He was the director for a while, for the last year or so. Take a little strain off them so they can do their job duties. And he has a goal that he wants to do, and I'll let him mention it instead of myself. Attended the Feather River Air Quality Management District. I'm on the Policy Financing Committee. We're going to make a presentation to our Board of Directors next month for the final budgeting for 2020-2021. For Chamber, we had an ambassadors meeting. The Chamber, all we're doing is we're trying to help our businesses in both sides of the river. Where there's nothing going on at this time. Everything's been canceled for 2020. Hopefully we will be able to have the gala in 2021. And we are started this Takeout Tuesday. So if you folks would love to go out to a local restaurant, please take a picture and share it on the Chamber Facebook page. We'd really appreciate it. Takeout Tuesdays, please. And then for city and community events, council was all here last Tuesday night for proclamation for Women's History Month. I attended the grand opening of the newly remodeled Veterans Center out at Yuba College. They did a beautiful job, did a completely interior remodel for veterans. In, out, retired, they can go there, sit there. They have computers for them to use, future ROTC. The building's made. You, family member that was a veteran, you were allowed to use this building. It was a beautiful remodel, and it was very nice. And then this morning, I helped with the Kiwanis. I got there a little late, but helped with the Kiwanis. And we served just 150 pancake breakfast meals to the community, for the children of the community. And that was at Butte Vista School. And we'll have one again next Tuesday at River Bend. And that's it for me this week. Thank you.
All right. Councilmember Espandola.
Thank you, Mayor. The Latino Outreach group with Dr. Liu that was developed about 3 or 4 weeks has continued to do some presentations at different local faith-based organizations. We also met today, and we developed another plan to continue outreach and education to our Latinos. Also this afternoon, I did an interview with Telemundo, which is owned by NBC. So I did an interview with Susana Gonzalez. So it would be airing tonight at 5 and 6 and 11. And the purpose of the interview was to talk about the call center, to promote the call center and help the Spanish-speaking, English as a second language individuals to utilize the call centers and help our community. I also, as Councilman Cardoza mentioned, we had the honor of recognizing many women from our community, and it was a wonderful event that we hosted out here last week. And I thought we were going to show that at our meeting tonight, the video.
We're doing it August 18th.
Oh, I slipped the mind. Thank you. August 18th is going to, because there's a big reason for that. We'll talk about it then. But thank you, gentlemen, for being there and supporting our women in our community. I also attended the EDC Executive Committee, and one of the things that we talked about at the committee was the CBEDS, this particular document, and we also talked about the $600,000 that Sutter County has set aside to help our local community, small business owners. And the applications are out. I'm very pleased with EDC and Brenda's work on her team. They have also translated this application into Spanish and Punjabi now, which they hadn't done previously. So I appreciate for that. I also participated today. There was a digital diversity program from the League of Cities with the Latino Caucus, and it was the discussion was on the digital disparity between people of color and non-whites in that, or excuse me, white community, that there is this disparity of access to digital, and they were particularly talking about the speakers because it was people throughout the state, so we were muted, we were just able to listen in, and part of the discussion was about children and the lack of access to the internet or internet services, hotspots, and creating more disparity for children not being able to access their education. It was really a good presentation. It'll be on their website, so if any of you gentlemen are interested in watching, I highly recommend it. I learned quite a bit from that group. And that is it. Oh, I almost forgot. We had a meeting with Barry. Thank you, Mayor, for inviting me with Greater Sacramento Economic Council to learn more about and meeting Steve. That was the owner of Future Toyota. A good opportunity to ask some questions in advance about one thing that we really need to improve, and we've talked about it, is that relationship between Greater Sacramento Council and EDC. So thank you so much.
You bet. Councilmember Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Had a busy week. Spent a lot of time this past week talking to a lot of different business owners as well as pastors from our churches and such. So first of all, I want to say thank you. I always acknowledge our team here at the city, but I really want to say thank you to just everyone in Yuba City this time, because I've watched our businesses step up even further than they've been asked and get really creative. I've watched the pastors lead their congregation and step up to the plate as well. So just want to say thank you to both of those groups. Been a busy week. We had Transit Authority, as Councilmember Cardoza says, give you an update there. Ridership is still low. It's starting to restore some as we begin to open more things up. And I want to say thank you to Mr. Martin and his team for working with us on Pluma Street during all the events and being very nimble in that. So that was greatly appreciated. We have got back to the Bogue Stewart Master Tax Agreement, Bogue Stewart Master Plan, and the tax agreement there. Had actually, I think, a productive meeting. I think that's finally moving in a good direction, and I'm looking forward to some good positivity coming out. I believe Vice Mayor, it's the next couple of weeks, and really hoping that we will have that and be able to bring everything on forward so we can actually get some work done there. Also, we started the budgetary process. The ad hoc committee, the Vice Mayor and myself started that today. I want to say thank you to those E-team members that's already been a part of this, and it's been very enlightening. This is, again, an education process that we all are going through together in a journey. And I feel that today's meetings were very productive because, as we've said multiple times, we don't know where this ship is going to kind of be landing and heading until about September, October. And so we're just taking a good look at everything to kind of figure out where we are to be proactive. And so as we come out of this October, November timeframe, look forward to working with the Vice Mayor and the E-team to bring back things to the council that will help us as a city get through everything. So that has basically, one other thing, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, for letting me fill in for you. I had a great time with those interviews on the radio. That was great. The main focus there was the new health directives and orders that came out, and our local guys here are really great. So I do appreciate the opportunity, and thank you.
And thank you. Appreciated that. Mr. Vice Mayor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Spent a good portion of the last week actually visiting the Midwest, and I think sometimes we get a bad rap here for our roads, and I can assure you that the roads in Iowa are no better than the ones in Yuba City in California. But on a serious note, continue to participate in the weekly briefings from Dr. Lou. Those happen on Wednesdays. I think there was one day when they brought it in a little early. Again, these meetings are a two-way conversation with public health and then decision makers and staff members on both sides of the river. And I know sometimes there's a high expectation. I mentioned this at the last meeting, a very high expectation of the ability of city councils to impact decisions that are made at the state level and enforced at the state level. I can assure you again that this council remains extremely engaged with trying to get to something that's much more reasonable for our businesses. And I would echo the earlier comments that staff, you did a wonderful job trying to adapt, improvise, and overcome in regards to supporting our businesses, to the business community. I hear from you. I feel just as bad as you do, or even worse, because I think you look to us for solutions that unfortunately we just do not have the power to provide, but we're continuing to try to do so where we can. Speaking about public health, Mayor Harris and I visited the Department Operations Center. I think it was probably the week before last. And on behalf of the city of Yuba City, we bought the folks that are doing the contact tracing and Dr. Rice, we bought them lunch, and we conveyed the thanks from the city for the very hard work they do. If you looked at those folks, and our Brad McIntyre is part of that crew now too. He missed lunch though, sorry, Brad. But you know, they have a lot going on over there, and I know that they're trying to increase staff. And as the number of cases continues to increase, their job only gets much more difficult. And people aren't cooperating. We hear the stories of someone who becomes infected, and then for whatever reason, and there's a lot of different reasons, you know, they're not cooperating with the contact tracing, which really impacts the ability of us to halt, or at least you know, cordon off some of the exposure. So that's a challenge that they're dealing with on a daily basis. As far as city meetings, I attended LAFCO. It was a special meeting where our own Ben Moody did a nice job talking about the Bogue Stewart Master Plan to the LAFCO Commission. There is some work to be done in regards to some selection stuff, and the mayor of Yuba City needs to get together with the mayor of Live Oak for selection of an alternate. But that was really the two takeaways from that meeting. As Councilman Shaw talked about, we did have, I consider it also a very productive meeting on the Master Tax Exchange Agreement. This meeting brings us as close as we have been. There are some questions that the county still has, but they're mostly, I think, they've looked at existing documents that have occurred in other jurisdictions as examples, which I think provide them with some sense of comfort moving forward. And I think that I would assume certainly by the middle point of August, if not late July, we may even actually be getting together for the next steps on that. That, of course, is a precursor to the Bogue Stewart Master Plan. We have to have a Master Tax Exchange Agreement before we can begin the process of the sphere of influence and any annexations that might occur. The Budget Ad Hoc Committee, again, I don't want to be redundant, but at the same time, it's important for me to convey the thanks to Spencer and Lynn for their work in preparing the documents for us to take a look at, and for those members of our executive team that endured our never-ending questions with good patience and lots of good information. I will communicate back to the council again. Our idea here, or our goal here, is to come back to us as a group. I will say that it has been enlightening so far. We authorized a rollover budget, but at the same time, we need to really pay attention to what we need to provide here for essential services in the city, and I'll leave it right there for now. You know, there's a lot of competing interests from outside organizations looking to us for funding. We are challenged with our own funding here in the city of Yuba City, so more to come on that. And I'm looking forward, we had a nice report from Ben Moody. Our reductions in development impact fees seem to actually maybe be spurring some development. I think there's more to come of that as we continue to emerge out of the COVID, but we think that that spur of growth will obviously result in some revenue, which could help offset as well. That being said, busy times, and staff, hang in there. I can see it on your faces. You guys look like you're in the battle, and you look like you're a bit fatigued. But I know that each and every department's putting forth the effort because I hear from it from the community. So, thank you.
Thank you, and that's exactly right. They look like it, and they are in the battle, and we really appreciate it, and it shows the work you guys are doing. So thank you very much. Forgot to call you, forgot to write it down, so I'm going to say it before I forget again. I have met with LAFCO, with the mayor of Live Oak, and we have that policy established for alternates. Apparently, my memory was correct in that we did already discuss it, but what I wasn't made aware of is LAFCO sent it back to us requesting a 2-year rotation instead of a 1-year rotation. So we have approved a 2-year rotation. The city of Yuba City is currently in the alternate role, so congratulations, Grace. You're there till July of 2022. Exactly. LAFCO alternate. That's you. You're the alternate. You represent both cities. Yeah. Yeah. This was kind of revenge for the last time you told me congrats on vice whatever of Gil Sizer. All right. So we had a Sabufka meeting. It was a regular business. Those folks continue to work really hard protecting our area. A lot of work going on, particularly up in Oroville and the bypassed east levee. I too participate in the Dr. Lou's weekly calls. It's very informative, and Vice Mayor, I couldn't agree more. It is a two-way conversation, and we spend most of the time, they spend most of the time getting feedback from us, and they want to hear from us and what our input are and what our concerns are. So anybody in the community, if they have a question or concern, please feel free to bring it up and we'll elevate it. That's no problem at all. It's one of the purposes of that call. As already been stated, I met with Barry Broom via Zoom, of course. Greater Sacramento Economic Council discussed the value that our membership brings to our city, the bang for the buck, the return on investment, call whatever you want. He does a good job articulating the value that organization brings to our city. And you got to pack a lunch when you let him start talking. However, that's part of his charm. And he's a great guy, love him to death. He's very, very knowledgeable. I'll leave it at that. And then, yes, I too agree that some conversation, some more exchange of information between our local EDC and them would be important. Meeting with Chamber of Commerce. Again, these are all Zoom meetings. Zoom's pretty much my friend now. I tell you, it's nice to be home at a click of a button and we're done. But no, it's still hit and miss. But when I managed to do it, and I know Dan is probably smiling over there because every time. However, Chamber of Commerce, they were very supportive and thankful for the effort and the support the city gave to give it a whirl on Plymouth Street. Chief, I know you and Chief Landon put a lot of work into developing that plan, and I really appreciate and value your input. I think we came up with a good idea. I think it was workable. It just, seems like a good idea at the time. We'll give it another go. But also, it helped cement some relationships because we talked to a lot of people. I've been down there on Plymouth Street probably 5 times in the last 4 days. And, even when plans don't work, they know that we care. And we really do. And we listen. And as the businesses did what they can do, they came up with some new ideas I think we might not see go away. For example, the seating for Happy Viking out back. It was quite nice. So, that was maybe not as discussed, but I still say it was a success in that regard. Gil Size was canceled. Participated in the If You Need a Mask, Just Ask video that the county put out. I guess it's on YouTube, I understand. SACOG, Sacramento Area Council of Governments, we participated in a call and a meeting, Diane and I. And who else was there from the city? I'm drawing a blank.
That was it.
Remember? That was it? I thought, okay, anyway, forgive me about that. But anyway, it was regarding the bike path. We got the grant for a feasibility study to extend our bike path. Right now it ends at roughly Hooper. But we want to get it all the way to the side of our new park, back behind Walmart, all the way to Plumas Bridge, and hopefully beyond. I've talked about this before, and we'll talk about it for probably forever, at least another, hopefully 4.5-ish years. We'll see what the voters think about that. But I want to thank specifically George Barlow, who put together a lot of work on a video. If you're like me, you like visual stuff. And so when we're talking to people on a Zoom call that are sitting in Washington, D.C. or Ohio or Southern California, and they've never been to Yuba City, but they know how to put the rails to trails, if you will. He put together a great aerial video with a drone flying over the proposed route all the way through, and so they were able to see how we link up rural to housing, to retail, to recreation, to maybe some underserved or some lower income neighborhoods in our central core, and how it would link up ideally through over the Fifth Street Bridge or the trestle on into Marysville. And Mayor Samayoa from Marysville participated in the call as well. And I think our next steps, of course, is to get a consultant to do our feasibility study and move on. But the fact that we've already brought him into the loop and we're capitalizing on the relationships we've already made, I think we can leverage that into some real results, which is my favorite word. So, and that will also compound into something good for our city too, because people will build upon that and branch out. And, the GHG stuff too, when people are walking, running, or biking, or scootering, or whatever, instead of in the car, that will help some of our air quality as well. I met with Pastor Richard from Bethel AME. I've had 2 meetings with him now over there in Marysville. They're creating conversation and meetings with folks and how to address some needs in our community. And he had a great idea, among many other things. Yes, the defund the police movement and everything they stand for and what they want is balanced out with some other opinions. But he's working on coming together with a response. And so he is looking for a site. He's open to even having in Yuba City where they can have resources available to folks for employment, but he also wants to have it more of like almost a showroom for some work they can do for homelessness. 2 or 3 small units, 1, 2 bedrooms on the site, along with their office and some meeting room area, so they can use that as kind of a showpiece for what they plan on doing even bigger. Rather than talk, they're going to have something on site, and then so the people who might be interested in helping out or investing can see results of what they have in mind right there firsthand, and help 2 or 3 families at the same time. So he's a really, really good guy. We started going down tangents on a personal level. Who may have made a new friend. So I look forward to meeting with him in the future and his folks. And I already talked about LAFCO. So, and like everyone else has already alluded to, busy. We can't even say it all that we're doing. I'm sure just like staff, if we try to tell us what your last week was like, you wouldn't be able to come even half of what you've done. So we're with you. We support you. We appreciate everything you do. And we look forward to continuing our efforts to pushing through this current crisis and beyond. So I will go ahead right now. I want to close into closed session, but I'm going to close in memory of Mr. Francis Gerald, a.k.a. Jerry Fulkerson. He was a Yuba City firefighter for 18 years, began in 1967 before he retired from the city. He was also a veteran of the United States Air Force. So he recently passed away, and so we're going to close this meeting in memory of him and his service to our country and our city. So thank you very much.